Hello and welcome to Anime Recapped. Today we'll be covering the first season of Classroom of the Elite. It will be split into 3 separate parts and this is the second of 3 parts. Lay back and enjoy the recap. When Sakura wasn't able to turn her camera anymore, she invited Ayano Koji and Kyo to go to the electronics store to fix the camera. But Ayano Koji didn't understand why he had to come with her to fix the camera. But after reaching the store he understood that the clerk would be too much for her to handle. When the clerk handed her out to fill out the form, it seems that he had ill intentions in his mind, so Ayano Koji filled the form himself with his own identity as she was uncomfortable doing so. Kyo insisted Sakura talk informally with them as they are all in the same class. When Kyo moves up from her seat to freshen up, Sakura asks Ayano Koji about his opinion on what to do regarding Pseudo. He suggests that she should do whatever her mind and heart say. He understood that somehow Sakura couldn't trust Kyo by looking at her eyes and suggested that she should testify for her own sake and remove all the excuses in between, only if she wants to. Back in his dorm room, Kyo starts to show Ayano Koji some pictures of an internet model who looked just like Sakura. Ayano Koji instantly knew that the person in the picture is Sakura and now he can guess why she doesn't want to testify for Pseudo. Suddenly, Kyo gets a text from Sakura saying that she wants to testify for Pseudo, but Kyo couldn't guess why she changed her mind all of a sudden. But Kyo knows that Ayano Koji is hiding something from her just by looking at his face. The next day in the class, Suzune seems rather annoyed at Ayano Koji for spending his day with Kyo. She states that somehow Ayano Koji is more agreeable with Kyo and whenever she asks him to do something, he does it without hesitating. Finally, the day of the hearing came and even the homeroom teacher of Class D was surprised to see the student council president coming in over for a brawl like this. Ayano Koji noticed that Suzune was scared and terrified due to her brother being president in the room as she didn't expect him to be there. The ruling was in Class C's favor as their injuries are quite noticeable compared to Pseudo's. Ayano Koji tries to force Suzune to stand up and defend her classmate as she spaced out in the room. He then reminded her that if she doesn't fight, they will lose the case against Class C. She brings Sakura as a witness, but even in the end, her photo alone wasn't enough evidence against the Class C students. The homeroom teacher of Class C proposes a compromise, but Suzune doesn't accept it because she knows that Pseudo is innocent in this matter. She wasn't going to let him get judged by his previous self and calls it an intentional setup instigated by Class C as Pseudo is completely innocent. Manabu declares that one side is clearly lying since all of their evidence is at odds. If none of the group is able to prove their claims, he will make his decision the following day at 4 o'clock. More vicious consequences will be present on the table along with expulsion. Later, Manabu leaves the room and runs into Ayano Koji and Sakura. He assumed that Ayano Koji had a strategy when he entered the room with Suzune. He then states that Sakura's claims were nothing but lies and Ayano Koji defends her saying that he believes her words. Manabu then acts rough with Ayano Koji ordering him to prove the words he is saying. The next day, Sakura finds pictures of herself taken from various public places in her mailbox which seemingly proves that a stalker had done it. She collapses on the floor while crying as she doesn't know what to do right now. Meanwhile, Ayano Koji and Suzune found out that the staircase where the incident related to Pseudo happened is one of the places in the school which doesn't have security cameras. After seeing the area, Suzune gets an idea of trying a strategy that could work to support the investigation. Ayano Koji enters the room and notices that Sakura is distracted by something and states that she doesn't have to testify today. He states that she is the one who helped the most as they will now win the case and promise to help her in any situation. He also adds that not only Ayano Koji but also everyone in the class trusts her. But just when she was about to say something, Ayano Koji gets a text from Kyo as they were proceeding with their plan. They set up a meeting with the 3 students from Class C that were related to the incident. They also placed cameras in the stairwell walls to scare them. They claim that the student council was testing them to see if they can resolve the matter themselves. The trick works on those guys and Ayano Koji makes them understand that they will have to take back the complaint as this is the only way to save both of the classes. When Ayano Koji was returning the dummy cameras he paid to borrow from Honami and she states that she didn't expect someone like him to be in Class D suddenly, Ayano Koji gets a phone call from Sakura, and she sounded clearly distressed by something. It seems that the clerk from the electronics store was stalking her and now he is the one trying to sexually assault her. Before he was about to do anything, Ayano Koji catches the man with Honami and blocks off the entrance with authorities. It seems that Ayano Koji was able to track her because he had her contact details with him. Meanwhile, the homeroom teacher of Class D Shibashira confronts Suzune and asks about how they got their opposition to withdraw from the case. Suzune refused to answer, and the teacher told her to understand as much as she can about Ayano Koji. As Class D is for the rejected students, why is someone like Ayano Koji helping them? These words make Suzune wonder but she doesn't say anything. On the other hand, Manabu could guess that Ayano Koji is the one who made the students from Class C withdraw their claims. But Ayano Koji insisted that it was Suzune who made it happen and refused to accept the credit. Manabu then offers Ayano-koji a spot in the student council as a secretary, but he refuses to do so as he wants to lead a normal student life. Suzune was standing right behind them, and she overheard everything but didn't say anything to Ayano-koji. Meanwhile, the 3 students from Class C were getting punished by their leader Ryuen for withdrawing from the case without even informing him. They get beaten by his man again and he demands them to tell him who set them up. Ryuen and his people come face to face with the girl leader from Class A. He then claims that he will crush every class including Class A as there can be one ruler. While walking together in the rain, Suzune questions Ayano-koji if he manipulated her or not. Ayano-koji refused to answer her questions, but she pressed him again. She asks who he really is and what his identity is. Ayano-koji gets a flashback of his childhood, and it looks like he is in some place that looks like an institution or research center along with the other children. Suddenly one of them collapses and he keeps looking at him while the flashback ends. He advises Suzune that he will help her to reach Class A, but she shouldn't pry into his personal life anymore. After the final term, summer vacation started and Suzune continued to ignore Ayano-koji's phone calls, but she finally gave in, and he invited her to go to a pool with him. That night, Sudo, Kanji, Haruki, and Sotomura met together at school to discuss a plan to infiltrate the girls' changing room with cameras to alleviate their loneliness. One by one, everyone arrives at the pool and starts preparing for the day in the changing room. Sotomura was observing the pool area from a window while communicating with a walkie-talkie and using hand signals. While everyone was enjoying the pool or playing basketball together, they were carrying out their mission. Haruki sneaks in disguised as a janitor and closes off the whole area with warning signs. People were making a crowd outside the changing room as they wanted to go inside, but there was no way. The guys had to make a change in their plans when Ryuen and his men from Class C made their way toward the changing rooms. But to recover their cover, Sudo ran in front of him and started confronting them as they were trying to cross over the sign, just to stall them for enough time so something else can be done as Kanji needed to escape. Sotomura signaled Ayano-koji, who also knows about the plan they were working on, so he requests Suzune to give a speech about Class C gaining ranks to Class A from the highest diving board. His plan works and everyone gets attracted by the whole scene. In the end, Suzune's act gave Kanji enough time to escape, but Suzune takes out the SD cards as Ayano-koji informed her about the plan the previous night. It's revealed that Ayano-koji knew about this from the beginning and informed Suzune about it after. As Suzune wasn't having much fun alone, Ayano-koji decided to push her inside the pool and Suzune played the prank on him as well. The whole class notices them and joins them in the pool to have fun. Later that night, Ayano-koji sends Suzune a group photo that carries the memory of the whole friend group, which made her smile as she collapsed on the bed. The homeroom teacher Shibashira meets Ayano-koji and states that some days ago a man called the school and requested to expel him from the school immediately. But as he is a student at the school, he will be protected by the rules and everything. She sets a condition for him, which is that he has to reach for Class A, and he will be protected by the teacher herself. Ayano-koji refuses the offer but is forced to comply with her when she reminds him that he will lose his freedom due to expulsion. In the end, he warns her that she might regret trying to use and manipulate him. Everyone in the first year is on a field trip, but it felt like a vacation to them as they were able to stay on a luxury cruise ship. Everyone in Class D was enjoying their vacation as they were able to express their love to their crush. Some Class A students were having problems with Class D, but everything went fine in the end. Ayano-koji was heavily distracted as he couldn't stop thinking about the conversation that he had with his homeroom teacher. Yosuke requested Ayano-koji to serve as an intermediary between him and Suzune as they both have the hopes and passion to unite Class D to keep going forward. But Ayano-koji and Suzune didn't believe it was just a simple vacation for them to enjoy, and it seems that there is a boarding house on an island named South Seas Island big enough for the whole group of students. Suddenly, Ryuen from Class C approaches them to manipulate them about the security camera incident. He takes a photo of her without her consent and keeps on threatening her with the promise of dealing with her personally next time. When another student named Ibuki tries to confront him for his way of doing things, his bodyguard Albert starts assaulting her and throws her down on the ground. When Ayano-koji tries to help the girl, she gets mad at him and leaves the scene saying it's none of his business. When Sakura was practicing as she wanted to ask Ayano-koji out, she was startled by the sudden appearance of him behind her. She gets terrified at first, then gains enough courage to hold his hand but runs away into her room after Kyo notices them together. When Ayano-koji was about to leave, Kyo tells him to wait and her demeanor instantly changes just like it did that night. She asks him if he is weary of her and he doesn't deny it. She switches back and admits that she is lonely. She was about to say something to him, but she just stopped in the middle and went back to her room. All the students finally arrive at the island where the real season behind the vacation is revealed. The students will have to leave their IDs and they will be given wristwatches for their next step. If anyone takes them off without permission, they will be penalized as they will be living as a group on the deserted island for a whole week. This concludes the second of 3 recaps for Classroom of the Elite. If you enjoyed the recap, leave a like and subscribe to the channel.